Neuropathy in the hands and the fingers can be peripheral neuropathy related to chemotherapy, carpal tunnel, diabetes, or other unknown causes. My name is Kelly. I am a physical therapist that specializes in lymphedema and lymphatic health, as well as oncology. In today's video, I'm going to share the top exercises to do for neuropathy in the hands and in the fingers. If you like these exercises printed out on a handout or looking for others, you can find these on my website, which I'll link up above as well as down below. Before we begin, make sure that you subscribe down below for weekly new videos, and you can also follow along with us on Instagram for more related content. So these exercises are safe to do as long as you are cleared by your doctor to do them. Starting with 10, maybe 15 of each of these movements is a great place to start. But we try to avoid overdoing these exercises or doing too many of them because sometimes this wakes up the nerves too much and then they can have an increase in irritation or increase in symptoms. So starting low and slow and gradually building up is the best. These all don't need to be done at the same time or the same day either. Picking 2 or 3 is a great place to start. So a great place to start is to just do shoulder rolls. So bringing the shoulders up into the ears, back and down, and rolling them all the way back and around. Just repeating that 10 to 15 times. This doesn't feel like a lot of nerve tension, but all of the nerves in the arm and the hand come from the neck. So we want to make sure that we're just mobilizing and gently getting some blood flow to this area as well. So you can do a handful in one direction. You can also repeat, do the same thing in the other direction. Nice and gentle, nice and slow. After that, we can also try starting to get some mobility and movements with the nerves in the arm. So a really simple place to start is just doing more like a hula movement. So making waves with the wrist or waves with the arm back and forth. This, again, might be really gentle for some people and they don't feel it, but we're just starting to get some mobility. Some people are really stiff and their joints are stiff, and so we want to just get them moving. And so going back and forth with the wrist is a great place to start. Now we're going to get into the actual nerve glides and nerve flossing. So what we can do, this is going to be for what we call the median nerve, one of the main nerves down the arm, is you can do this laying down. I'm going to do it sitting so you can see, bringing the shoulder up to about 90 degrees, straightening the elbow out, and if you don't have any tension there, taking the wrist and bending it backwards. So right now I feel some tension all the way through the forearm. That's a little bit mild tension. And if someone has a lot there, then we'll stop and we'll just bend the wrist forward, bend the wrist back. Going back and forth, nice and gentle, on tension, off tension, 10 or 15 times. If someone doesn't feel that, we can also add the head. So ear to the shoulder while you do the wrist, back and forth. And if you don't feel anything there either, we can also keep the wrist on tension and just do the head, where you might feel tension as you move away, and then off tension, mild to moderate only, and then again only 10 or 15 times, nice and gentle. Next, we can also try another nerve glide or nerve floss. And so what we can try to do is, I like to think more like an Egyptian motion. So my palm is towards the floor or towards the table I'm sitting on here, and then my elbow's bent, and we're going to straighten out the elbow while bending that wrist back. So bend forward and then back. And this can get a nice gentle nerve tension, nerve glide, and nerve mobilization. We want to make sure that's really mild to moderate at most, not severe, significant symptoms, otherwise we'll scale back our range of motion. But mobilizing in and out, and again, doing 10 or 15, and then just being done and stopping there. We can also do shoulder blade or scapular squeezes. So thinking about squeezing our shoulder blades down and back into our back pockets and then relaxing out of that. So squeezing open and back. I'm going to turn so someone can see. I like to think about pegging my elbows and pointing them or pinching them down and low behind me. We don't want our shoulders to come up into our ears. We want to think down and back and then relax out of that. Why is this helpful? If someone has really a lot of tightness in the front, especially tightness across the chest muscles, that can pinch on some of the nerves that run down into the armpit and down the arm. So just making sure that we're staying mobilized, right there. If you have any symptoms, you can stop this, but posture can play a role with nerve symptoms as well. So 10 or 15 there, and then we'll break. Another way to open up the chest is to take our hands, putting them behind our head or neck, and this also can be done laying down on your back. Elbows would be pointing forward, or if you're on your back, up towards the ceiling. Then we're going to open up or letting the elbows fall out to the sides, and then coming back in. Opening up, and then closing. You'll feel a nice stretch across the chest. And same thing, making sure that there's no tightness, helping with posture, and just really gently helping to mobilize. For the next 3 exercises, we're going to need some objects. So a ball for the first 2, and we'll talk about the third one after. So just finding a ball that you have. A lot of people have a tennis ball, maybe a baseball, or even a golf ball laying around. That works great. If you have a textured ball, a spike ball is a really nice one to give some sort of tactile cue for the nerves. Nerves really like that. So I will put some links down below of different options that are popular, but just finding a ball that you might have and starting with ball squeezes. So gently squeezing into a ball and then relaxing. Making sure it's mild to moderate at most. We just really want to get some blood flow to the hands, and this is a really good way to do that. So doing 10 or 15, just squeezing and relaxing. We don't want to sit there and do 30 to 50 or too many, because we're not trying to overdo it with the nerves. Nerves don't like that. We're just trying to get some blood flow to the area. So on and off, squeezing and relaxing is a great exercise. Also with the balls, we can just do ball rolls in our hand. So I like golf balls for this one, or those small spike balls I talked about, which I'll link below, of something textured that you can just roll in your hands. A big ball, you would use both hands. If you have golf balls, you could probably just do it with one hand. Something just to give the nerves a tactile stimulation or a sensory stimulation with the textures. You can find other things like towels, denim, anything that has texture is a nice thing to try. You can just play around with your hands and get that sensory activation with the nerves. And the last exercise that we can do for neuropathy in the hands and the fingers is to use dry rice or dry beans. What we're talking about with that is that we would take a bucket, we would fill it with dry rice or dry beans or something similar to that, and put our hands inside that bucket and just play around with your hands and your fingers. Again, that texture, that tactile stimulation from the different textures of the rice or the beans, it's going to help with the nerves and the sensory piece of that. And that can help calm down neuropathy for some people. We can also put marbles inside or coins inside, something just to feel different objects with, and spending about 3 to 5 minutes at a time playing around into that in the dry rice or dry beans or whatever you're using is a nice simple exercise to help with the sensory piece of neuropathy. And those are a few exercises for neuropathy in the fingers and the hands. Work with a physical therapist in your area for more personalized guidance, and you can check out the other videos on my channel for other exercises. If you'd like to see any other topics in a video, feel free to comment that down below. Otherwise, we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks, everyone.